The state superintendent announced today that yes, he does expect that schools will begin with in-person classes in the fall. However, there will absolutely be some big changes, and that includes students wearing masks during the school day. So we want to know right off the bat, what do you think of that idea? We are asking right now, do you think it is a good idea for students to wear masks at school? You can let us know on our KREM 2 mobile app. Now, in order to meet Department of Health guidelines, some schools may reopen with a hybrid of face-to-face or online instruction. But we know students and staff will also be asked to wear a cloth mask. Now, there will be some exceptions, like students with certain respiratory conditions or those who have trouble breathing. And younger students may be supervised. In fact, they must be supervised when wearing those face coverings. All districts will also need an alternative plan to return to fully remote learning if local health authorities or the governor mandate future closures.
I understand that we need to stay safe in the schools, but we already have such a hard time having the kids keep their jackets where they need to be and not touching their face or not touching things or washing their hands after the bathroom, and just adding face masks to the whole mix just sounds impossible, frankly.
So already Spokane area teachers being prepared for the difficulty and challenges that will come from these new guidelines. Parents, students, and school districts all across the state have been anxiously awaiting these guidelines, wanting to know what it's going to be like in the fall. So the guidelines, we know, will shape practices and policies for all public as well as private K-12 schools in Washington. We want to get to kind of the 5 main takeaways. So take a look at this list that we put together for you. We know that the OSPI is saying student and staff safety is the top priority. Schools, again, will be opening this fall for in-person instruction, but physical distancing will be required, as well as those cloth face coverings. And there will also be plenty of increased cleaning and sanitation in all school facilities. Now, the superintendent was very clear that keeping students and staff is going to be very safe, but we also know that it's going to take a lot of preparations to get to that point. So here is the superintendent now of Spokane Public Schools today.
Fortunately, we do have quite a bit of space. So it's going to be, look, Jim, in terms of we're going to need to use our spaces differently that we have. So every nook and cranny, so we can do appropriate social distancing. So, for example, Chris Rakedahl mentioned even today in the press conference, using our gymnasiums and our cafeterias, and many of our staff and students have been through that when we build new schools.
So here is what else will be different. Field trips and assemblies may also be canceled. Schools are being asked to maintain that 6 feet of social distancing within groups of students as much as possible. So that means potential mixing of classes or groups in the cafeteria should be extremely limited. And under this new guidance, schools should also consider having students take their meals outside or eat in their classrooms. Now, we did reach out also to the Washington Education Association today. They're in support, of course, of returning to schools as normally as possible, but did question some of these guidelines. So here now is a statement from the WEA. They said, "We question if social distancing guidelines can truly be met in many schools across our state, given typical class sizes. School districts must engage early with educators through our local unions to incorporate best practices and ensure equitable learning within the OSPI parameters." We also know that a lot of you are going to be asking about fall and even winter sports as we prepare for all of these changes. And the short answer is we still don't have all of the answers yet as far as how will football look like or how will other fall sports look like. We do know that they are going to be looking at each sport individually, so the rules for football may be different than other sports, but we are working to get those answers for you, and we will make sure to get them to you just as soon as we learn that information.